Welcome back to the Acting Magic channel. Today we're having something a little bit different. I'm on the road, but I wanted to give you guys some content today. We're talking about Go-Shintai of Life's Origin. But before we get into that, the Shrine Commander of Shrine Commanders is awesome, but I think you should put your deck in a shrine of its own. We're sponsored today by MTG On Command. Link in the description below. I don't have one on me, but they're super cool, 3D printed. They got a little plate for your commander to sit in. But without further ado, let's get into the video. You stay to the end. There is a combo. Stay to the end. All right, let's talk about it. Go-Shintai. Check him out. He is a 4-drop, 3/4. It could be a girl. I don't know. Could be a he, him, they. I don't know what they are. But anyway, they're cool. So, Go-Shintai of Life's Origin is a 3/4 for 4. He says, pay Werberg, tap, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is awesome. So much power here. Okay, and it's any enchantment from the graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever Go-Shintai of Life's Origin or another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 colorless shrine enchantment creature token. This is so unbelievably powerful. This makes everything that we do with shrines, because it counts the shrines. Oh my goodness, stop. Okay. It makes everything we do with shrines that much more powerful because shrines are based on the number of shrines we have. Let's get into it. So, get your Triomes and make sure your mana base is perfect. I'm talking about 3 visits, Farseek, those kinds of things. We're not going to get into 5-color mana bases, but get your Triomes, get your colored mana fixed. Don't forget your fetch lands, get your fetches. Woohoo! Shrines. Okay, so the first shrines, the Hondens, okay, these are all based on upkeep. Now, I want to point this out because you're going to have different, basically different versions of the shrines all triggering at different times. And I want to remind you that the Honden shrines are at the upkeep. Okay, now these are all really great. I think Honden of Seeing Winds is just going to draw you like cards based on the number of shrines you control. Hopefully you won't deck yourself. I forget if it says you may, but these are fantastic. They're amazing. They're going up in price because they haven't been printed a whole lot. I think they're on the list, a couple of them. Next shrines we have, oh yeah, at upkeep. Next shrines we have are all the Sanctums. These came out in M21. Whenever M21 came out and they saw that there was such a huge interest in shrines, I think that's why that was one of the reasons we got to go back to Kamigawa, was because, hey, the shrines are, everybody's been talking about the Kamigawa, let's go back. So the Sanctums are all cool. A lot of these happen at your upkeep in your first main phase. So Sanctum of All happens at your upkeep, returning from your library to or your graveyard a shrine and putting it into play. Fantastic. Or Sanctum of the Stone Fangs. All these Sanctums are doing something really cool, and I really enjoy them. I think Sanctum of Shattered Heights and Sanctum of Tranquil Light are like paid abilities. But Fruitful Harvest is not. Sanctum of Calm Waters isn't, and neither is Sanctum of the Stone Fangs. But they're all different trigger times, so just look out for it. Sanctum of Tranquil Light, I don't believe is any particular time. It's a tapped mechanic, so just be aware of that. Then the last one, the most recent one, are Go-Shintai's shrines of Lost Wisdom and Balanced Figure and all that. These are paying 1 mana for each of their triggered abilities. Now, that's perfectly fine. So Go-Shintai of Boundless Vigor is going to put 1/1 counters on a target creature at the beginning of your end step based on the number of shrines you control. Go-Shintai of the black one, whatever that one is, that one's going to destroy a creature with toughness equal to or less than the number of shrines you control. Lost Wisdom is going to mill cards. Ancient Wars is going to deal damage to target player or Bleed Planeswalker, and Go-Shintai of Purpose is going to put 1/1s into play. That, oh, by the way, Go-Shintai of Shared Purpose is fantastic in draft and sealed. It's so good. So good. All right, let's keep going. So these are all at the end step. Again, reminder. So you're gonna have to pay attention. I would separate all of your shrines once you start playing this deck. Separate your shrines based on the time that they're going to trigger. So put your Hondens on the right next to your deck, and then put the Go-Shintai shrines on the left so that you can remember beginning, end. Next up, we've got Protection. Okay, Sterling Grove is a 2-drop that gives your enchantments Shroud. And for 1 mana, it will sacrifice itself, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, and put it on top of your library. Very useful if you get into a bind. There's a lot of ramp that's enchantment based. We're not going to get into that because you can go find that really easily on EDHREC. Link in the description to the EDHREC on the website. Okay, Greater Oromancy, though. This one also gives yourself Shroud. Fantastic. We don't care. We're not targeting our own creeps or enchantments while they're in play very much. Mostly while they're in their graveyard. Okay. Also, Privileged Position, All-Star. All your all your permanents can other permanents gain. Sorry. Privileged Position gives all your other permanents hexproof. So it's pretty great. So these are draw mechanics. Eidolon of Blossoms and Setessan Champion are all enter the battlefield whenever enchantment enters a battlefield. Draw a card. So that's useful whenever we just put something from our graveyard into play. But we also have cast triggers from Satyr Enchanter, Mesa Enchantress. Really, really great. We're going to be drawing so many cards. Agrathian Enchantress, again, on cast. Verduran Enchantress on cast. Then we have from our graveyard. Okay, so Ephemerith Enchantress is a green and a white 1/2. It says whenever an enchantment is put in your graveyard from play, draw a card. This is fantastic. By the way, we're not worried about things going to the graveyard. We've got answers to that. Cost reduction. So we've got Herald of the Pantheon, Starfield Mystic. Both of these are going to reduce the casting cost of our enchantments, which is fantastic because a lot of the shrines, the Hondens especially, they have 1 pip of like blue or green, and then the rest of it's colorless. So if you have multiples of these out, you're going to be really, really happy. Similarly with Starnheim Courser and the new printed Jukai Naturalist, he's just a 2/2 for 2 that has lifelink. Cool. He's really great in draft. He says enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Starnheim Courser, on the off chance we happen to have artifacts in our deck, like all of our signets. Starnheim Courser is going to make our signets cheaper, our enchantments cheaper. Courser is really an all-star. Mana, so just tapping for mana. Sanctum Weaver is going to be a 2-drop that's going to tap for the number of enchantments we control for 1 mana, one mana color type. So for X mana of 1 mana color. Okay, Bloom Tender, though, it's going to tap for 1 mana of each color among permanents you control. Add 1 mana of that mana to your mana pool. Fantastic. So if we have a Sanctum in play, Sanctum of All in play, Bloom Tender is going to tap for Warburg. And it's just been fantastic. Then we can activate a lot of our Warburg stuff that we need to go look for. Now, our tutors, Zur the Enchanter and Sisay Weatherlight Captain. I'm sure I'm not surprising anybody by these guys. Zur is going to be Esper and 1 generic, 1/4 flying. Whenever he attacks, you may search your library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. If you do, shuffle your library. There's some amazing, amazing cheap enchantments that we're going to get into here in a minute that are 3 or less that you should be tutoring up. Sisay Weatherlight Captain, she gets 1/1 for each color among legendary permanents you control. Basically, for Warburg, she's going to search your library for a legendary permanent with converted mana cost less than Sisay's power. So if you do it with nothing else on the battlefield, you pay Warburg, you go get a legendary permanent converted mana cost of 1. However, as she gets bigger, so if she's a 5/5, you can go search your library for a legendary permanent converted mana cost of 4. So she's really, really fantastic. I really dig her. I like her a lot. And she's the de facto Shrine Commander. So now that she can be in the 99 instead of be our commander, she's pretty cool. So this whole video would also double up for a good Sisay deck as well. Next up, we have Search for Glory and Enlightened Tutor. Both of these are going to search our library for different stuff. Search for Glory, I think, is a strict upgrade over Idyllic Tutor. That's why I didn't make the list. Search for Glory will search your library for a snow permanent card, a legendary card, any of our legendaries, which is a lot, or a saga card, reveal it and put it in your hand. Search through the library. You gain 1 life for each snow for... Yeah, it doesn't matter. Enlightened Tutor, at instant speed, search your library for an artifact or enchantment card and reveal that card. Shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Both of these are amazing. Search for Glory is like $1, and then Enlightened Tutor's like 30. So just, you know, if you got one, great. If you don't, that Eerie Ultimatum. Okay, Eerie Ultimatum. Open the vaults. Brilliant Restoration. So these are all just going to return our permanents from our graveyard and put them onto the battlefield. Eerie Ultimatum is any number of permanents with different names. Fantastic. Open the Vaults is returning all artifact and enchantment cards from all graveyards to the battlefield under their owner's control. We just have to be very careful about that one. And then Brilliant Restoration is a 7-drop. I know it's hard to see on our screen right now, but it's a 7-drop for 4 white and 3 generic. It returns all artifact and enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. So they're all really, really good, and we're going to have tons of mana to do this with our one of our Sanctums. Our green Sanctum will add mana at the beginning of our first main step, pre-combat main phase. It'll add mana equal number of shrines. So if we need mana, Brilliant Restoration is not going to be an issue. Next up, we have Mystic Remora. Okay, these are the hashtag. They don't get a number because they're just so good. They're just all the time. If you can play these cards, you own these cards, you should be playing these cards. You should, you know, these cards are amazing. Mystic Remora, it's a 1-drop, cumulative upkeep of 1 generic whenever target opponent, or any opponent rather, that's what I write it to say, successfully casts a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. That player may pay 4 generic to counter this ability. Okay, cool. Mystic Remora, easy peasy. And if we sack it earlier in their game, a Go-Shintai will reanimate it from our graveyard, put it back into play, and give us more draw, which is fantastic. Also, something that's amazing, just pure value, Rhystic Study. If you can get it out early, or any time at all, actually, it's just going to draw you cards so frequently. It says whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless the player pays 1 generic. It's an all-star in this deck. It's almost an auto. It's an auto include. Really, I hate to say that word, but it's an auto include. And then the one that I think beats both of those out is Carpet of Flowers. And this obviously is depending on the game you sit down to. If nobody has islands at the table, this is a dead card. But if somebody has 4 or 5 islands, this is just going to let you cast way more spells, way ahead of curve than anybody else at the table. So for 1 green, it says during your main phase, you may add up to X mana of 1 color to your mana pool, where X is the number of islands target opponent controls. Holy crap. This is just, on its own, will cast a Honden, cast a Sanctum, cast, Go-Shintai. It's so unbelievably powerful. This, I think, beats out Rhystic Study and Mystic Remora just because of the power it brings. It's great to draw a bunch of cards, but if you can't cast them all, what good are they? Anyway, all right, number 5 on our list, Urza's Ruinous Blast. It's a 5-drop. It says exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Heck yeah! I've got a bunch of shrines that are all legendary. I'm going to exile everything that's not legendary. Granted, it doesn't get commanders, but it gets a ton. It gets a bunch of signets, it gets a bunch of mana dorks, it gets just so much. Urza's Ruinous Blast is just awesome. Okay, but it comes with the cost. You can only cast this if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker, which is interesting. Has to be a creature or planeswalker. Okay, number 4 on our list, Sigil of the Empty Throne. Now this one's just going to win the game if left on the battlefield for any amount of time, because we're going to be casting our enchantments over and over and over again. For a 5-drop, whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. This is just going to close the game. Speaking of closing the game, stick around. We're going to have a combo. Stay around. Okay, so number 3 on our list, bam, Weaver of Harmony. This is fresh out of Neon Dynasty. It's a 2-drop 2/2. Other enchantment creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay, cool. But for a green and tap, copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an enchantment source. You may choose new targets for the copy. So basically, every single one of our shrines, we can double up on that trigger. So for instance, if we need double mana from the green Sanctum, if we need Sanctum of All's triggered double, if we need to draw X cards from the Honden. We draw X cards from the Honden. Awesome. But as you just saw, number 2 on our list is Hallowed Haunting. So this card is making so many waves in the standard format right now. It's a fantastic card for 4. So 2 white, 2 generic. It's going to say as long as you control 7 or more enchantments, creatures you control have flying and vigilance. Okay, cool. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, create a white spirit creature, cleric creature token with this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of spirits you control. So strict upgrade, in my opinion, over Sigil of the Empty Throne, but it's at 4 mana, and each time we're casting, we're going to get a spirit, and as we have 7 or more enchantments, we are going to be able to give those creatures flying and vigilance. Fantastic. It's an amazing card. This is going to close those games very, very quickly. And drum roll, please. Number 1 on our list. Replenish. Okay, I don't think this is surprising to anybody, but this is the best card that we can be playing in our Shrine deck, just because we get nuked from orbit because there's 2-drop. There's a 2-drop return in nature that says destroy all enchantments. That this is just going to give us all of that stuff back for 4 mana. Return all enchantment cards from your graveyard to play. This is amazing. But how do we go infinite in this deck? Oh, my friends, wait one moment. And that is with Go-Shintai and Second Chance. Now, there's a caveat to this, and we'll get into it. So, Go-Shintai is going to reanimate any enchantment from our graveyard to the battlefield. Well, Second Chance says, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, sacrifice Second Chance and take an extra turn after this one. So, if nobody can interrupt this and you have 5 or less life, you sacrifice Second Chance during your upkeep, and then during your main phase, or right after that resolves, you bring Second Chance from your graveyard back into play with Go-Shintai of Life's Origin. Fantastic. Now, I want to mention that this does not work with Starfield of Nyx. The reason why is because both of these triggers would go onto the stack at the same time. So, Starfield of Nyx says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may return to our enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And Second Chance is also put onto the stack at the same time. So Starfield of Nyx cannot target Second Chance because it's not in the graveyard yet. And it has to have a legal target before it can go onto the stack. So Second Chance, while it will probably buy you 1 extra turn occasionally, Starfield of Nyx and Second Chance aren't infinite. Now, with the infinite combo itself, with Go-Shintai and Second Chance, a way to ensure that we're going to be able to stay alive at 5 life, Worship is a great include. This is a 1 white, 3 generic. If you control a creature, damage reduced your life total to less than 1, reduces it to 1 instead, which is fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out today. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Go check out MTG On Command. I got a 10% discount in the comments. Check them out. They did a really, really cool Valentine's Day run of boxes, and they also did a really, really cool like a Neon Dynasty. Like, I love their purple, like themed Neon Dynasty kind of deck boxes. I loved their purple. The purple was fantastic. They also have this like almost red, almost pink, kind of shimmery one that I really like too. Fantastic. Wish I had one on camera today, but you do what you can with what you got. All right. Love you guys. Have a great week. Deuces. Oh, wait. I haven't said deuces in a long time. That's so silly. Where's my button?